Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me today. My name is Andrea Mihalich. I am the hearing instrument specialist at the Audiology and Hearing Aid Center. We typically use this time to introduce ourselves and share a little bit about our journey with hearing aids and hearing loss, which we cannot do right now, so I will just introduce myself. My background is in speech and hearing science at Temple University, and then I started working at the Audiology and Hearing Aid Center almost directly after graduation back in 2015. I got my certificate to be an audiology assistant, and then I got my license to be a hearing instrument specialist. So you might see me in the office for a checkup appointment, or if you're having problems, or if you're having a screening done or an updated hearing test, I am here to help.
So we're going to go over just some information about hearing loss and some hearing loss facts. So there are three types of hearing loss. The first type is a conductive hearing loss. This is where we see issues with the ear canal, eardrum, or middle ear. So if you're looking at the diagram to the right of the text, you'll see there's a darker shade of pink, and that is your ear canal. And then your eardrum is the little white circle following it, and then the middle ear is the pink, the bones beyond that white circle. A conductive hearing loss is a little bit less common, at least in our type of work, because sometimes it can be fixed with surgery. So they will be sent to an ENT where they can do surgery. The next type of hearing loss is sensory neural hearing loss, and that's due to problems with the inner ear, which are those little blue circles that you're seeing. This type of hearing loss is very common in our office. It's usually due to a noise-induced hearing loss, or basically just your natural aging process. So if you live long enough, you're bound to have some hearing loss, and that's usually seen as a sensory neural hearing loss. And then, of course, there is a mixed hearing loss, which I'm sure you could all guess is a mixture between both. All three of these hearing losses are treatable by hearing aids, and the conductive one can be treated by surgery in some circumstances. Just a few facts to go over. I like to share a little bit about hearing loss, especially these facts, because I think your average person kind of thinks that you either have hearing loss or you don't, and that's about all they know, which is not the case. Hearing loss is actually the third most common physical condition after arthritis and heart disease, which I don't think people would guess if they had to, just because it really isn't talked about much in society. I know there is a stigma attached to wearing hearing aids. If you wear hearing aids or you have a hearing loss, you're considered old. That's not the case with glasses. So there is it's an interesting stigma, but it's there. I think it is getting better, because I know that I walk around with giant headphones on all day, and I'm not bothered by it. They're much more obvious than some of the hearing aids on the market. So I think as time goes on and as technology gets better, so will the idea of hearing aids. 48 million people report some degree of hearing loss. So that's a pretty large number, and we'll find out in a few slides just how many of those 48 million people decide to seek help. Noise exposure is a big reason for hearing loss. Nowadays, they have rules and regulations put in to protect people who work in industries that they're exposed to a lot of noise, like they have to wear hearing protection. My dad is an environmental scientist, so he goes into the field a lot to, test different lands and stuff like that. And I know that he is required to wear hearing protection during that time. So if you have anyone in your life that works in any of those industries, maybe they work in a factory or they work around, heavy machinery, work in construction, maybe ask them if they are wearing the hearing protection. I know they are required to, but I know that there is not someone walking around checking if they have it in. This chart on the bottom shows different sound levels measured in decibels. So normal conversation is 60 decibels. Moderate noise, nothing too damaging. The painful and damaging noises are firecrackers, gun blasts, jackhammer, which I'm sure you could all guess. The one on here that is always surprising to me is the hairdryer. You know that it's loud, but it's something that people definitely use every day, and I'm sure they are not wearing hearing protection. And then the exposure to a noisy subway for just 15 minutes a day over time can cause some hearing loss. So just think about what is involved in your daily routine, or what was involved in your daily routine, 20 years ago, and think about if any of these things could have contributed to your current hearing loss. So now we will go over the different stages of experience with hearing loss. There are 5 different stages. At this time, I usually ask people if they have any idea what these stages might entail. This is also a time where I ask people to share stories and have their friends or family chime in and see what they have to say about these personal experiences, which we obviously can't do if we're doing this online. But if you want to jot down anything that you would like to share with me, I would love to hear it either on the phone or on email. Just shoot me an email or give me a call, and I would love to hear your stories. So the first stage is denial, and we will get right into that. Denial is the first stage because you're pretending to hear what was said, responding inappropriately. This stage is super common. No one really wants to admit that they have a problem in general, I feel like. And going back to that, stigma with hearing loss. If you didn't experience this, that's great. That's awesome to hear. But if people think they have a problem, especially with hearing, it's not something they want to admit to right away. So you might be saying that you have selective hearing. You hear what you want to hear. And I'm sure if your spouses or friends or family members are watching, they can agree that you might have said these things. 15 million people in the United States with hearing loss avoid seeking help. So going back to that 48 million number of people with reported hearing loss, they definitely are not all getting help. For whatever reason, could be financial reasons, could be denial. It could be a lot of different things. Maybe they're just not ready yet. So the next stage is projection. So during this stage, you'll see a person with hearing loss sort of blaming their problems on other people or on other situations. You're saying that, someone mumbles or they speak too fast or they run their words together, or the environment that you're in, caused you not to hear. While a lot of these situations that might be true, that's not the main issue. I know that with my normal hearing capabilities, I definitely can hear others better than I can hear, the kids I babysit. But of course, that's not the main issue there. It's that you aren't able to hear because you have a hearing loss, and then adding all of the different environmental factors into that hearing loss, it makes it extremely difficult. I definitely think that some restaurants are easier to converse in than others. But again, that's not the main issue. The main issue is the hearing loss. The next stage is anger. Um, you're continuing to be in situations where you're not communicating correctly. People might start to be catching on. They're calling you out for responding incorrectly, failed communication. Um, you again are continuing to blame it on other people, and then you're getting angry at them for them not speaking up, or for parties being too noisy, for not having a good time at the restaurant or the party. These are all things that bring people joy day in and day out. So if you aren't able to enjoy them, you're not putting yourself in those situations, then you might start to get a little bit angry. Um, and, people are asking you to participate, loved ones, family members, and you don't want to do it because you know that you're going to be faced with that failed communication once again.